Good morning, English 3. This is Miss Thomas, and it is Wednesday, April 12th. You should have already, obviously, to get to this, I think, signed into your Google Classroom. The first thing that you need to do is get out your notebook, and you need to open to your vocabulary section, and you need to copy down the next set of sentences for your vocabulary practice. I think I posted the answer from yesterday, so you can double check that. If you were not here yesterday, you need to copy those sentences down. Any of you who have been absent that you're missing anything, you need to go back and look on the last couple of days of post on the Google Classroom, and that information can be found there. So you need to pause this for a moment and go through and finish those warm-ups, and then you can come back to this. So go copy the vocabulary sentences in your vocab section, and then come back to this, and we'll talk about the rest of your assignment. All right, at this point, you should have copied down the vocabulary, and you should still have Google Classroom open, and you need to go ahead and open your email. I have sent you an email this morning that has several attachments, and I have posted several things to the Google Classroom. The first one is the personal career portfolio grading rubric. And the first thing that I want to add or point out to you that I added is down here. I put the due date. I had it posted on the page, but I noticed it was not posted on this. So the due date is right there where it tells you you need to get a black 3-ring binder. You need to make sure you take care of this. This is going to be due Wednesday, April 19th by 3:15. Now, a couple of other things that I want to talk about. Yesterday, I went through this rubric. The very first thing is you have a letter of introduction. You will have to retype that, and you will need to fill in those blanks with different clauses to finish those sentences. When you're looking at that, you need to think about reflecting on kind of what you've learned while you're here in high school. The second paragraph that is in there has to do with this collection of your best works, which I'm going to talk about today. So you really couldn't fill that out accurately without because you haven't done this assignment. So we're going to talk about that. Your resume is still there that you should be working on. Remember, there's a template for that. It's in the email from about 3 days ago that all you have to do is fill that in. Your reference page, it's the same thing. It was in an attachment that was sent in your email that you need to fill in. It was sent to you about 2 days ago. Right now, I want to talk about your collection of your best works. That is number 4 on this little checklist of things that you need to do. So when I talk about the collection of best works, and I mentioned this to you yesterday, you need to think about 5 things. I put on here 3 must be academic, 2 can be of your choice, that you have done that were an accomplishment to you, that exhibit or made you use skills that show dedication, patience, intelligence, hard work, things like that. So if you open the other tab, or not tab, but the other attachment that is on your in your email, you see a page that looks like this, the collection of best works. You're going to keep this title up at the top. Notice your name is not on any of this because it's all going to be in this professional notebook that has your name in the very front on that rubric. So you see you have 5 places on here. If you look on the rubric, it tells you that this must be a maximum, which maximum means the most, a maximum of 1 page type. Okay, 1 type page. You can do it single space if you need to, but you are going to only take up that 1 page. So your collection of best work, you're going to put in bold, just like I have here, the title, make it a little bit bigger, title of your best work. So let's just quite simply say you, for ag, maybe you built a picnic table. So you would simply just title it picnic table, and then you're going to write about it. Explain what you did. Now, it's not enough to just say, I built a picnic table. What did that require? In building a picnic table, there was a lot of planning that took place. I had to make sure that I had all the supplies, the measurements were correct, and the drawing was to scale. If you worked with Mr. Abney, or you worked with Ms. Wilson, or if you worked with a teacher, that's fine. You can put that, guided you through it. But basically, you would just you could continue to type explaining what it is that you did. You don't need, because again, you're limited a little bit in space, but you need to know that you cut the wood, you cut all the pieces out. Mr. Abney showed you how it was better to do it in these steps, and you realized after you did it that he was right. You need to talk about if there were any challenges. What you learned is important to measure twice, so you only have to cut once. It'll save you money and it saves you time. And then how you felt was when you were finished. You were proud of what you had done. You felt like you had accomplished something. Now, thinking about things that you did, and I kind of gave a list yesterday when you're looking at this. It can be the math project symbol you made. It can be you welded something. It could be you built something in the construction class. It could be the rocket in Coach Fogo's. It could be you kept the baby alive if you were in the baby Miss Ochoa's class. You learned how to cook, or you learned how to dice an onion the correct way in Miss Case's culinary class. Any of those things. It could also be that you chose to take an advanced class and you had to work real hard and you passed. You can do anything with athletics. If you want to talk about working hard and dedication, maybe you won a championship or a game. It can be something personal, whether you want to lose weight or tone up. Maybe you did something like that, because if you notice on the rubric, it tells you 3 of them are academic and 2 can be of your choice. Maybe you, I don't know, you bought a car that you and your dad have been fixing up over all this time. Any of those things. If you're a Boy Scout, it can be a Boy Scout project that you did. If you volunteered somewhere, that feeling you get volunteering and how much you've learned from it. Any of those things you can put on there. So you really need to think of 5 things that you've done while in high school. And again, you'll do just what the sample says. The document I gave you in your email, you are able to edit it, so you should be able to just delete and then start typing what it is that you need. And then you'll save it, or if you're ready to go ahead and print it out, you can do that also. So that's your collection of your best works that you'll be working on. Now, the next thing that you have, and you can stop this right now if you want to go type it. That's completely fine. And come back and listen to these explanations for the other one in just a minute. The other thing, kind of moving down the checklist, that application, most of you have that. It's an entry-level application. It's filled out. It's neat and it's appropriate. You should have that. The next is this job research discussion. This is an essay. This is going to be written out in complete sentences. If you look at the other attachment that was in your email, and it's also posted on the Google Classroom, it has a little breakdown of each paragraph and what you're going to do. When you type this, a couple of things to remember: that you are going to type it in, you're going to double, let's see, we'll do 12-point font. You're going to double space, and you're going to do Times New Roman. So it's typical how you normally type. It's a normal essay. You're not going to number the paragraphs. You're not going to do any of those things. You're just going to type an essay. So I put on here and I broke down each paragraph of what you need to do. So when you look at the introduction, it tells you there. Uh, and you can write this also in first person, that's okay, but be careful that every sentence doesn't start with I think, I feel, I know, or anything like that. So when you look at the introduction, you've got, you're going to open up with when you have thought about a career, what do you think that you've always wanted to do? What was or is your ideal job? And explain it. You've always wanted to be blank because why? Why is it of interest with you? Maybe you like working with your hands. Maybe you don't like people and you want to work in a cubicle. Maybe you love children and you want to be a teacher. What is it that makes it that is interesting to you? Then I want you to shift to after taking the skills test, you see that maybe you're right, what you want to do, or maybe the skills test showed you some things that you were unaware of that you had never thought of, and you are slightly interested. Also, you can say if there's some things, like if it said, again, for you to be a teacher and you're like, I hate children and I'm definitely not interested in that. So you're going to, in several sentences, tell what your ideal job was, taking the skills test, what some of the results were. If you agree or disagree, you'll talk a little bit about that. Your thesis statement is going to be the 3 occupations that you researched. So, after taking the skills test and thinking about my likes and dislikes, I researched the jobs of, and you can just list them, welding, police officer, and business administrator, whatever it is that you put there, very simply. Your second paragraph, which is your first body paragraph, is going to then talk about that job. Pretty much, you're going to take that packet that you have all that information, and you need to put all of that into sentences, into an informative paragraph where you're going to tell me that police officers need this kind of training. They start off at this pay. They have the ability to move up and down within their career. These are the different titles that they can have. Important features, positives of the job, negatives of the job, responsibilities, minimum qualifications, challenges, in it, positives and negatives, all these things that I have listed. So you're going to basically put it into complete sentences and give me a paragraph about that particular job that you researched. Then you're going to do the same thing for your second job and your third job. Your conclusion is going to be kind of your personal reflection of which one do you want. When I look at these 3, and it may be the same thing you said back up here, or maybe you change your mind. You say, I want to be a welder. I have learned so much. I have enjoyed taking the class here at school, or I'm taking it next year, or my dad's a welder and he's taught me whatever it is that you want to do. You're going to tell me again why. You're going to tell me where do you think, do you want to, is it here in Sour Lake? Is it in Beaumont? Where are these places that you can do that? Again, positive, negatives, and basically say, I hope to one day, your concluding sentence of this conclusion paragraph is, I hope to one day be a doctor and own my own business and run a small clinic in a small town in the South. Very simple. There's your dream. This is what I want to do. Okay? So, you obviously are going to type this. Make sure you remember this is an essay. Don't number the paragraphs. You're writing in complete sentences. You're using standard correct grammar in English. Please make sure that you put your works cited page at the end of this essay. That's a key thing. You should have a works cited page that is in your portfolio folder that you made on your drive, where you're putting wherever you got all this information. You can just use the URLs, put them in alphabetical order, quite simply. Again, it is not the correct standard way, but that's what you're going to turn into me, that works cited page at the end of this essay. So that'll be the last page. That has also been added to your rubric right there so that you don't forget this on your checklist when you're going through and working on those things. So, you have plenty to do. If you need to listen again to instructions, you can rewind this and go back and look at it. You have all of these handouts in front of you. So you should be typing. You should be steadily working. We'll be in here tomorrow. And then after that, I don't think we're going to be back in here. Monday, we'll start moving on to the next project. So make sure that you are efficient with your time and you get busy on what it is that you need to do.